Hello, welcome to the first two-parter. The reason this is two-parter is that not only were these two animation briefs alongside one another, but considering how small the following one was and how it doesn't really come up again throughout the whole channel, and it's yeah, I just thought to make it a two-parter, just to let this video stand out more. But the real star of this show is this the title sequence, which I'm almost tempted to say is my favourite piece that I made in college. But yeah, I'm still looking back. Yes, between this, the post-it note one, and the final animation I made. But no, I tell you what, I think this one just has a lot going for it. And yeah, um, so yeah, title sequence. You could choose any genre. And what's interesting is that when you get into the briefs, get given two briefs, sorry, it makes you wonder, which one do we focus on more? And funny enough, I think everyone except me wants to focus more on the 3D modeling brief, which was shown later on, and yeah, more so than the title sequence ones, because as much as everyone's title sequences were extremely good and well done, professional, especially with the especially with the I want to call it rotoscoping, but no, that's not it. Um, but yeah, it had to have live action footage mixed in somewhere, like a silhouette of ourselves placed on top. And yeah, that was one of the requirements. I remember that. And yeah, and unlike uni, college had like rendering requirements as well, which made it extra specific, which yeah, had to be the case. And so yeah, but yeah, I decided to go for the title sequence, yeah, because I think my model on it was fine, but yeah, it could have been far better. But I think I had more skills to show off here compared to the modelling one. Now, I think they were still the wrong grade, but yeah, I guess I could have done the modelling one more. But I think, not to mention, I had to animate because it's like I think it is like a different form of rotoscoping. When you like draw out the outline, and then every frame you're just making sure that the outline sticks to where it is with um, yeah, just like sticking around the footage of me here. So yeah, everyone else went for like crime genres, and for those who did sci-fi ones, I don't quite remember, but of course I just gone for a whole new level. So as you can see on the bottom right, one of my characters appears a bit too early, just showing his tentacle far too early. Not to mention there's a bit of white on him, which means that he forgot to erase that part. Anyway, let's break it down from the beginning. So the star suddenly shows up. There it is. Then that's where the space fades in, and it does fade in once the star fills the screen. And yeah, this my drawing of space is mixed in with like real stars as well. Yeah, a lot of planets, lots of stars, even rocks too. And yeah, there's an alien on the right. Quite easy to miss, but then I managed trying to make that explosive, which I did follow a tutorial on that, so kind of cool. But yeah, I don't think I should put this in front, especially with what the right footage looks like. And yeah, there's a laser gun on the left with a spaceship on top, and then the spaceship flies off. Oh yeah, by the way, once again, pretty much like any other thing, the past animations, it was showcasing pre-production first, and yeah, I think this was the no, I think the last one was pretty on point and quite representative of the animatic versus the final thing, because the first like the Pixar vs Rage Fight one and the Post-it Note one had like massive scene cuts alongside just other ideas being cut out, but I think this was quite on point. If anything, their live action footage had to be added yeah, felt almost like just afterwards, because I think it was like forgotten to be written in the brief that live action footage had to be there, but at least it was there in the end. So yeah, this alien was the only alien asset drawn in Illustrator still, and yeah, because of the other alien drawings there. But yeah, they're the other alien drawings you can find on my Instagram, and I'll be breaking down each one as well. Anyway, so the laser shoots from that gun there, and the spaceship does fly off. Oh yeah, if you're wondering what this effect is right here, it's not an effect, it's actually a glitch, because it's my phone footage, and I think either my laptop or the After Effects software just wasn't really wanting to work. So yeah, just results in this glitchy footage. So I think it would just like a normal color, or maybe color hinted at some point, but it's just yeah. Because one thing I don't like about it is that it's just a nice difference here, and the pink on the left and green on the right, but then the right goes pink too, and then almost nearly get back to green again. So yeah, it's yeah, I just kind of wish they were both pink, but regardless, so the title sequence is pretty much like a galactic battle between these two so-called alien races, despite being mean coats. I was 17 or 18 at the time, and yeah, I do look far different now. So yeah, so the left just has a glove shooter shooting these red lasers, and I think on the right I'm actually holding the banana. Yeah, because at the start I tried to reload it, and then you had to shoot these yellow lasers, which you can see throughout. But yeah, this star right here diminishes the gun, and it starts the moving background, and even the ship has a cool effect where it just slowly goes more blue, and then zooms off, indicating light speed. Yeah, quite a variety of like duplicated stars and more planets and other effects. Yeah, it's a bit childish, I admit, but I think it kind of works with, as if this is like a family-friendly space show, then I think it's okay. Um, on the right, he decides to stop shooting, but yeah, that took a week alone to keep the outline, in the footage around me in both of them. I remember losing progress one day and just being mad, but I caught up in the end, which is fine. Then that sporadic effect comes in to make the background go off then. Not the best idea, but oh well. This one's shown a technique. This is essentially the main character in the background because he appears once more. But yeah, this music stand is meant to be a weapon. Anyway, so also the spaceship slowly comes in. It's basically like the main spaceship of the show, which you'll see later on. Anyway, let's break down all the characters. So that's Cosmic, who was an early dress of Haphazard. Yeah, just your normal alien nuisance, and that's the first design designed for, or one of them. It's more updated because he looks more like a dinosaur now. The wings he only got temporarily in the final story of the Haphazard Legion, and of course doesn't have forearms either. I kind of struggled to write that. Still really like the design though. But yeah, all of them were just moved about by the puppet tool. That's Extron, despite being a drilling alien. I don't know why I call him Extron, but yeah, this because this character is like at his upgraded form. Because Hamota in like Haphazard Pentology, basically like the Earth element. He was like supposed to get hold of that, and he was meant to be far more than a drilling robot, which is a cool idea, but I didn't really know what much to do with him. If anything, he kind of came back in my sequel comic, the pixelated one, but with a more robotic and updated design. Then there's Gloop, also in the sequel. Yeah, he's always been a goo-based alien. And fun fact, he was the most like drawing on my Instagram, and yes, all of these can be seen on my Instagram. And yeah, 125 likes. Yeah, it was just the most amount of likes I somehow got, and I never had that again. Maybe one day, I suppose, wait to see. I like the movie Tentacles. That is Arcevius, basically like a space angel, a space entity of some sort. Yeah, it's meant to be quite powerful, yeah. Nowhere in the Haphazard story. Below is Viamachus. He's like their Fracture equivalent, who is also my Haphazard pentology, you know, like the all-knowing element, knowing being. Yeah, I kept swapping like that final character, you know, just the last addition to the pentology. I don't know what made me put. Um, did I lose interest in the design? Did I think Fretch was better? I don't know. There's just loads of swaps. Anyway, that's for another time. Kind of like a design I could do with bringing him back. Above is Zybas. He's a lightning alien. Zami kind of his passions. I think the cap thing was a coincidence, you know, with Zami my pentology. But the lightning idea definitely came from Zybas, considering he was a lightning alien. And below is B, who ends up being one of Zynfield's goons. You can see the resemblance, especially being more hippo-inspired. But as you see later on, as pointed out by one of the people in my class, he does a dab. Oh, no, he doesn't. Oh, I guess it kind of looks like Quad, but usually he just only moves the gun up and down and that's it. And then this last alien below is a Varanic, which also appears in the pentology, but instead, you know, just definitely not as much detail. And this was meant to be like a giant alien initially, but obviously it became like more of a swarming reptilian creature and a lot smaller, which yeah is in my fourth book. Yeah, whereas the storybook or the novel, and then I brought back. Oh, I think these must be duplicated because that's the same reloading action. At least he stayed green, just in time. Yeah, a bit confusing, but yeah, basically, yeah, this part of the sequence was the showcase a variety of alien races, and there's a light speed thing in the background, also learnt by a tutorial. And yeah, so main character, load of characters, more to the space theme, and then all of these stars fold in, which is nice. And then there's the main character again, actually holding my DS, and I think that's. Anyway, so the DS is down and the glasses are off. Anyway, so yeah, there's a small scroll in the background. Then this other rocket ship comes along, fills the whole background. And yeah, as mentioned, the live action footage was added afterwards. I just remember wondering where to place it, and because without it, you know, you still have the gun comes out, shoots the alien, spaceship goes off it, spaceship goes through the thing over time, and here with the character showing off, and then there's just a small build up with the spaceship. But you know, you can see how the live action things almost act as like the main attention now. And granted, it's a bit overstuffed at times, but yeah, they come in at good places. And yeah, especially this one because it's a bit of a waiting time for that rocket to come by. And yeah, the title forms more consistently and then with the same technique, unlike the second animation. And yeah, I learnt this from a tutorial as well. So yeah, it's right cool. And right here is what the title would have been. Yeah, spaceship ships with the rocket being the logo. And yeah, look on the left, it looks like one of the evil goons trying to shoot at the main character. That animated explosion there again. Sorry, it's back again, making him disappear. And yeah, the music stand at the top, it glows a tad as it forms a lightning strike. Yeah, not an original effect of mine, of course, because you know it's just an asset you can find within the software. But this once again is far more purposeful compared to the second animation. And then yeah, a bit of blue. Then the rocket go. Ooh, that's like some animated Where did I get those animated? That must be a green screen effect. Because I'd read the rocket, but that must be a green screen effect that fired there. Unless it was another tutorial. Anyway, another text transition. Yeah, imagine turning this into a original series. That could be really cool. I don't really have any motivation though, especially because not only is this live action, I don't have these kinds anymore. I don't have that build. All of these characters are part of a much better story because I had no idea how I would take this idea further. Maybe another TV production company, but I wouldn't know. Anyway, and I was also the only student to have an episode sequence, because some shows have moments where they're like, oh, it's this episode, and I was the only one to do this. And it looks like I'm just laying in the ship, which means the ship's a lot smaller. And oh my god, that actually works, because I had to like move myself over with the keyframe, but I kind of like that. It really works. Kind of like the design, despite being me in clothes. And there's stars and grass, and I think this would have been the sequence I would have kept using, but with just different title text at the top. But anyway, first episode, I wonder what that's about. How exciting. So like despite my advice to not go above and beyond, and whilst I could have spent more time with the with the modelling thing, which you'll see in the just like later on. But what I achieve here, a lot of techniques that stand out, with these effects I learned through tutorials and all of the live action implementing. It's it's just looking back on it, I'm quite pleased. Like, granted, there are like some parts I could have neatened, like the puppet tool here and a couple of transitional things, and then also the character showing up at the start on the bottom right when he's not supposed to. And you could say that with a lot of them being, borrowing off from tutorials, it's a bit of a shortcut to professionalism, but at least I'm able to come up with more of my own ideas, as you'll see later on, and I think that's just almost like a small cheat to make it better. But if I'm just following a tutorial well enough, then I guess it just says my attention and the technique paying off. And I don't think my college had a problem with that, because after all, my college just had like a whole ton of lessons, how to do these various effects, such as applying live action footage and cutting the background, so it's just a person there. And not to mention, the only time where a glitch actually makes it better. Thank you, laptop at the time or After Effects, for this glitch. I don't know how I would be able to recreate it. Maybe my phone was just really bad at creating footage for softwares. I think this one's just staging really well. It just has a very nice, youthful charm to it. And I really like the other title sequences that the other people were going for. If anything, they were creating title sequences mostly for like a live action drama, mostly outside of a couple, because I think those who went for a sci-fi theme just went for like a grounded people in the spaceship kind of premise. But look at this. I don't that this is just a lot of variety on screen from start to finish. I just went wild with this one. Anyway, let's just briefly go over the model. Okay, so here's the 3D model. So it's meant to be a sword of a character who you do see later on in this animation thing. Look at the handle, it's alright, because we had to do two types of renders. So here, that first one's a normal one, and this one's a square net kind of thing. The reason I say square is just because it shows off the rectangular faces, because it was meant to be square and not rectangle. And I remember someone in the class accidentally doing a triangle one, which probably would have knocked him a couple of points off the brief. I remember like, hey, you put triangles, not rectangles. I just remember that being a funny moment. Looking back on it, so yeah, I remember the feedback was that should have had more complexity, which I do agree with. Probably more towards the blade. It could have had like more of a deep gap, especially with the lighting on it. And yeah, this is a turntable, as it's sometimes called. Yeah, just showing all angles of the model. At least that's done well, especially with the transition from that onto the net thing. But yeah, every other people's creations in my class, yeah, they were extraordinary. The best one I remember was like, yeah, they were doing all sorts of weapons, even an airship. Yeah, it was just a very cool variety with what everyone else was doing. I think other people did it in separate videos as well, with these two renders, but I managed to put them both in one. And not to mention, both this thing and the final animation, I forgot to do an auto render. So all of these renders I was just manually doing. So once one was complete, I was just like, oh yeah, just render this frame as well. And yeah, it was just taking forever. I just wish I took the time to find out how the rendering worked, because it was just, yeah, because the following in the final animation, I was just taking like a solid month. Thankfully, we had a much larger given time, but I think just about a month was just used rendering the frames for that last animation, and in fact, I'm just surprised I had the time to yeah, just, how did I have the time to do everything else towards it? Anyway, so as I mentioned, so yeah, accidentally having to render these manually. Oh yeah, this is Maya, by the way, the software. So yeah, no first instruction. And whilst I'm not the biggest fan of the blade, especially the tip, and it's definitely not the kind of blade I use for one of the made-up characters I have, who I used to be a fan of until I didn't. I really like the handle though. It's okay. Would I be? Yeah, I think you'll be able to hold it. It doesn't. It looks like your hand would stay there. I like the thing at the bottom. Yeah, that's like a torus shape or a donut that just manages to be attached to the bottom. I remember, yeah, one of my classmates assisted with that, so yeah, I do thank him because it ended up being. But yeah, I do thank him because having that helped. But yeah, I just really like. Yeah, it's just a really cool handle. I just like the bits in the parts. And I like that the holding part looks like it can be gripped well. And yeah, just a decent. Yeah, just a decent shape. It looks a tad bit complicated. Because nowadays, I do have more attention to detail about how things function. But looking back on it now, yeah, it's just a tad too detailed at times. But yeah, I like it okay. The part at the bottom is definitely cool. I like the additional detail there. Yeah, it's just only the blade that's boring. Because yeah, I think a lot of it was just the extruding tool, just making things go in and out. At least I created a decent handle. But yeah, just attaching the torus was, yeah, I think that made it like extra good. But yeah, it's just and yeah, at least it was rendered correctly, and yeah, the animation of the movement was fine. I think I did have to make it a tad longer, because I remember other people rendering too short of a frames, and they had to like really slow it down, and it would look a bit jagged. And I'm like, oh dear, you haven't rendered enough frames. Although I think the brief actually had information, do it at this speed with this many frames, and it should show it off well enough. Oh, sorry. And yeah, so yeah, I just remember spending a couple of days rendering both of, yeah, I think it was only 700, was it 750 frames like overall, and then the following animation and like 1,000. I don't remember. But yeah, I just remember, just in a long car journey, it was just manually going one by one. It was quick though, because it's not much happening on screen, but yeah, I'm scared. If only if I just took the time to research, I just would have saved a lot of hassle over this one and the last one. I was saving it for the last week or a couple of days to do this rendering as well. Just once it just, just started looking back. Just wished I just give myself more time. I did manage to submit it on time. I submitted everything on time, but I just don't like that tight feeling at the end. Because I just like to do massive jumps from the get-go. So I just don't get as stressed when it comes to the near upcoming deadline. But yeah, at least you're looking back, the sword's okay, but as you would have seen, because my modelling skills are okay at best. Like they can do, like simpler things, as you'll see through the rest of it. But yeah, they're a 3D modeler that requires a different kind of talent and interest, and creating these sculptures wasn't like the best thing for me to do, because even following instructions during lessons was really hard, when creating teapots and that. Yeah, that was really tricky. But yeah, I do remember the kind of fun we had there, because we just created all sorts. In fact, I tell you what, on my Instagram there's a 3D craft, and because at first it started off with, create this front of a propeller, and whilst I did planes, I just did this spaceship with 2 propellers, and it helped inspire the look of Zamu's spaceship and the Haphazard technology. So yeah, so if you go on to like my Instagram in about 2019 to 18ish, you'll see the spaceship then, not to mention a tank as well. Not as good as the spaceship. Yeah, the spaceship was pretty cool at a point when my tutor wanted to show it to the other classes. So yeah, that was a nice achievement. Yeah, I would have probably liked to talk about all my college times alongside these briefs. So yeah, I'll stop there. Yeah, just a couple of interesting things to look back on with both projects, and yeah, I probably kept you long enough. So yeah, let's I'll just see you whenever.